Well, a very good morning to you all here at Follow Everton. I'm Ryan, the channel host and admin, and I'm going to go through some major Everton news. As of this morning, the club put out a statement regarding the future of Bill Kenwright and the other the other members of the interim board. So this is massive breaking news. I'd like to welcome you to the show, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Of course, remember, smash the like button for me right away. Let's try and get this up and seen in the YouTube algorithm by people searching for Everton content right now. So it'd be good to get them on and get their opinions. Good morning to Mark, Eugene, Sam, and Dave in the comments, and Steve. I will come to you all the comments very shortly, but firstly, I want to get to this statement, which is the massive news. Further to the announcement on Monday, 12th of June, which they said they would follow up to within 48 hours. Everton Football Club, finally, I've added that in. Everton Football Club today provides an update on the board and management roles. Everton is pleased to announce the appointment of Colin Chong as interim chief executive officer and director. Colin is currently the Chief Stadium Development Officer and has been focused on the delivery of the transformational new Everton Stadium at Branley-Moore Dock. So not only is he overseeing the stadium, which must be quite a hell of a job in itself, we now ask him to be the Chief Executive Officer and join the Board of Directors on an interim basis. But interim, you're still putting a massive responsibility on his shoulders. Now, he may actually be the best person for that job. I don't know, Colin. There might be some people who've got a lot more of an opinion on this, but it sounds like a huge responsibility and a case of covering another job, but actually it's a major job. Chief Executive Officer, then being asked to be a director on the board and still keep your job as Stadium Development Officer, unless someone else has taken over the stadium role. But I can't see that happening. I mean, it also goes on to say he's been responsible for the operational management of the club's business headquarters at the Royal Liver Building. Wow. Okay, so let's stick on to that for now. Just on the Colin Chong, have we got any opinions on the situation with Colin Chong? If you've got any on that, please come back to me, and we'll discuss it. I'll move on actually just for now and read the rest of this statement. Bear with me 1 second. Put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I like it when the calls come in when I'm on air. In addition, read that bit already. James Marignac, currently Director of Finance, will take charge of all finance matters as Interim Chief Finance Officer. I'll be honest, that doesn't mean an awful lot to me. He's a Director of Finance and now he's Chief Finance Officer. It's like an interim promotion. Again, it could be that these prove themselves to be quite good in their jobs and might get the jobs full time. But I want to see new talent coming in. I want to see the best possible candidates for all of these roles at Everton Football Club, and not just giving people jobs because it's an easy option or because they're a blue or some other nonsense, which I'll move on to now with the, for me, this is the crux of it all. He's talking about Everton is also pleased to announce the proposed addition of 2 non-executive directors to the board, subject to normal Premier League approval. Our major shareholder, Mr. Farhad Mashiri, will join the board. This is the thing. I know it is an interim basis, but everyone has criticised him for making bad decision after bad decision, and now he's basically put himself on the board so that he can make all the decisions. I mean, he makes the decisions anyway. We all know that. He's like the backseat driver that drives the car, tells you where to go, what to do, but isn't officially running the club. But he's on the board. I want to know what you think about this. As you can see, I'm on my own today, so I need you guys in the comments to give me your opinion, something to work off. And also announce that Mr. John Spellman, an experienced chartered accountant, has anyone heard of this fella? A successful businessman and Evertonian. I love the way Evertonian. It's like, I really couldn't give a shit whether you support Everton, Liverpool, Man United, any team. You have to be the best person for this job. And I appreciate this is, I mean, this isn't actually written down. They haven't said this is interim, actually. They've not said that Mashiri is joining on an interim basis. Neither have they said John Spellman is joining on an interim basis. They've just said he's a successful businessman and an Evertonian. I mean, we were all talking about Andy Bell and George Downing joining, and they are successful, very, very successful, and they're Evertonians. I think being an Everton fan is a bonus, but really it's not that important. And I think that's why we end up in the mess we are, because we have fixated too much on sentiment and not how much on the important things. And then obviously here you've got what we all suspected. I think when we didn't hear within 48 hours, I think Bill Kenwright had handed in his notice and said he wanted to, step down. He could no longer attend fixtures at Goodison, although it was a massive part of him. Of course, Farhad Mashiri negotiated with him and has convinced him to stay on as chairman. It doesn't say interim chairman on the statement. The more I look at this, I mean, I've done a few tweets on this before and obviously promoting the show, but it doesn't say anything about interim really with the appointment of the executive directors, neither Kenwright. However, it does say, I want Bill to remain as our chairman during an important period of transition. I mean, we've been in transition for about 10 years. Transition for the club, and I'm delighted that he's accepted my request to do so. Bill's knowledge and vast experience will be crucial as we look to reset, deliver on external investment and position Everton for a successful future. Well, look how that has gone so far. Look how that experience and knowledge has got us. I do not have any personal issue with any individuals at Everton Football Club. I try my best. I've always tried to remain as impartial as possible. But after 2 years of successive relegation battles and being 35 minutes away from being relegated and playing Coventry City in the Championship the following season, we have to have change. I'm not going to tolerate this going on for a whole season. There's got to be fast decision making, the right decision coming in, get the best people in. And the way this is worded, to me, doesn't say that this is going to be very, very short term, because he hasn't used interim. They've used short. They haven't said, on the short term basis. It says transition, period of transition. I mean, that could go on a long time. Listen, I'll let you interpret this as you want, and I want to hear in the comments what you think. Just talking about the final thing, there's a comment on John Spellman. In John, we have an experienced finance professional who's held chief executive and senior finance roles for international firms, and I welcome him to the club. Okay, that sounds positive. In Colin and James, we have 2 experienced senior club professionals who have agreed to take enhanced roles on an interim basis, and we know who can deliver immediately. I've got to be honest, I don't believe a word that comes out of the mouth of any of the people there. I have to be completely honest. I have well and truly lost faith in anything anyone says. You could tell me 48 hours and you come back to me a week later with news. You can understand this is just moving the furniture around. The trust is completely broken. I don't think this is going to wash with a lot of fans. Self-flattery as well. We're sick of it. Bigging everyone up, talking about the nonsense with the fast experience and the knowledge. Yeah, I'm sure he's got some experience. Is that experience, has that delivered a success? Absolutely not, in terms of Bill Kenwright. What I firmly believe was that Bill isn't actually the biggest problem here. Wasn't the biggest problem here. And that's why you saw the likes of Denise Barrett-Baxendale allowed to go without sufferance, without any sort of real fight for that. But he's fighting for Bill. I think there's obviously something behind the scenes that maybe he offers that we don't see or hasn't reflected well on the pitch or off the pitch. I mean, it's a load of nonsense, really, isn't it? I'm trying to state a case. I'm looking at the comments now on this, and this is something that we can discuss throughout the course of the show. So if people have got more things to say on the matter, I'd appreciate it. And I do hope that some of because I've got 9 other members of the Follow Everton crew. Unfortunately, no one was able to join me. In fairness, it is a Friday morning, and a lot of people are working. As you know, I work in an industry which is nighttime based on weekends. So that's why I'm here able to put this out. But I do hope we will hear from some of our other members at some point soon with regards to this statement and some other Everton news. Let's go and have a look at the comments. Eugene, straight in there. Thank you, Eugene, one of our regulars. He's saying smash the like button, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, hit the like button. And of course, if you're new here, subscribe. If you're already subscribed, turn notifications on. A lot of our videos are quite impromptu. I do appreciate that. Can be not the most convenient for people. You know, you never know when we're going to be live, but we are reacting as fast as possible to this breaking news, which was only within the last hour. So I hope you appreciate the speed in which we're getting this content out and giving yourself a platform and a voice as well. Mark Anderson, how the F has this happened? One thing that this club has to do was to get rid of Ken, and they can't even do that. It's piss poor distinction and have no new players. Mark, we'll talk about transfers. My understanding from speaking with someone a couple of days ago who is, I'm not going to give name and disrespect him, but that there is no money to spend. Not disrespect him, but I don't want to obviously say who that is in case it is unfair to do so. But yeah, very well respected person. And they said that there is no money for Everton to spend. We'll talk about this in greater detail just on the Bill Kenwright situation. For me, I think this is a case of desperation because there isn't anyone who can come in as chairman. So he's begged him basically to stay and said, I need you. I've got no chairman. I've got to have a chairman. And, you know, the whole thing's going to fall apart. We can't distract from the fact we need new players. And really, if the director of football can do his job and identify the players, then how much does the chairman need to get involved with that anyway? Sam is saying, speechless, actually lost for words. I'd be shocked if we get any new investment too. Sam, on the new investment, MSP secured some funding, $160 million. That's the latest news. I think there's 130 or not sure there's 130 or 13 people in the investment group or investors in sort of the thing that's going to, I'm not majorly clued up on it, but I'll get you the exact information now, Sam, just while I'm on that, if that's okay with you. Bear with me 1 second. 13 investors in the partnership. Apparently, MSP have raised 165 million for Everton investors. Of course, they've got the exclusivity. So I do suspect and expect, Sam, that the investment will be announced soon. And hopefully once that's in, there will be some changes to the board or some new people coming in, not just an accountant, some actual football people with experience of getting amazing commercial partnerships in, of building and running football clubs and making football clubs successful. Dave is saying he's staying for the new ground opens. He'll be there to cut the tape and open the new ground. I wouldn't be surprised. Steve Speaker saying, gutting news, Bill Kenwright not welcome anymore. Is there anyone who's happy he's staying? Is there would like someone to come on the other side of it? And is there anyone who's content with it and can understand it and is not too bothered with it? The Blues, one of our regulars, is saying, hope you're good despite this disgraceful of a decision. Thank you, the Blues. Robbie, one of our regular viewers and patrons, is saying, Colin has been asked to give out the Everton sweets pitch side a match day, serve the food in the Dixie suite and tidy up at the edge. He's got to do everything, Colin. He's got to do the player negotiations. I mean, chief executive officer as well is a massive, massive job. You know, you're overseeing every single department within the club. Basically, you're the top dog. Crazy. He's got to do that and the stadium. He could be amazing at it, but it sounds like a lot. And again, it's just moving the furniture. Has he got the credentials? Has he got the credibility, even from his role with the stadium, to actually run the football club? I don't think the two things are similar. I think one's building a stadium and the other is running a football club. Very different. Martin Cummings, I thought MSP were getting places on the board. This sounds like MSP has fallen through. No, not the case, Martin, that I believe. I think that the investment's going to be announced very shortly. And Alan saying, we've just rearranged the deck chairs. Martin, this is musical chairs. Gary, I give up. What do you expect, mate? This is Everton. It's utterly miserable. The Blues, not sure what's more sickening. The fart my dog has just done or the Mashiri getting more involved. Blues, if you think Mashiri wasn't pulling the strings from behind the scenes already, then you're wrong. But if he wasn't, then maybe this isn't a chance to actually prove his worth and show that he can actually do something and run a football club, which is what he always wanted to do at Arsenal, and they wouldn't let him. Dave, already seen there is no money to spend. Yeah. I mean, there's a list of players. We'll talk about transfers very shortly, and the list of players that need to go. And certainly them leaving will bring in a little bit more income to spend. But yeah, I'll come to that in a moment. Just while we're talking about the board changes, Kelly saying many of us thought when Mashiri came in that we would do a City and start winning titles, but he just seems like a businessman with no idea how to bring football success. Thank you, Kelly. Robbie saying, if we're giving up as True Blues, it worries me that any decent players will swerve us currently. I don't see us getting anyone in until the financial year ends and we get rid of all of those players. David B, what's happened? Mate, you need to rewind to the start of the video on YouTube and watch from the start. We've just talked about Kenwright staying on. Doesn't say interim basis, says period of transition. Mashiri's admitted himself to the board. There's a new guy, John, who's an accountant who's joined, a director, and Colin Chong and the finance officer have both been promoted. Okay. What else is on the agenda? We can still talk about this if people have got more to say and more opinions on it. That would be great, of course. Please hit the subscribe button for me. On my agenda, okay, it's going to go. It's not as intense now. It's transfer news. Transfer news. Right. The news is there's no news. No money to spend. That's what I'm led to believe. Haven't got a pot to piss in. Got to get some players out the door. Amadou Onana is the one that looking most likely to leave. He is a dispensable asset for a lot of people. He's not even in the best 11 for Everton. For me, again, frustrated. Talking about selling your better players is annoying because we recruit so badly. So any good players we actually do get, I want us to hold on to. I think he's only 21. There's huge potential there. I think under the right coach and the right setup and the right system, the guy's going to be an unbelievable player. But again, for a lot of fans, he's not in the starting 11. I think he is. I think James Garner could play right back a lot next season. And Onana could play in midfield. I think we need more creativity. Everyone's getting hung out to dry through not having wide players that can actually beat players, cross the ball and score goals consistently. That's not Alex Iwobi or Damari Gray for me. And up front, having someone who you can rely on to play 35 games a season, ideally 38, but it's unlikely, but 35 to 38 games a season. Someone who's going to be fit and you can rely on, and we haven't got that. We've got to get rid of players. Onana's valued at around 55 to 60 million pounds. And I think if we could get the top end of that, I'd say that's fine. Providing the full 60 million went into buying, say, 2 million pound forwards who are going to project us. Because I think there's no point turning up for that home game against Fulham. There's no point any of us watching us next season if we don't sign strikers, if we don't sign forwards. I'm not sitting through another 38 games, another year of the absolute depression, misery, and watching us try and cobble together results in the way we have because of the complete shit show from these people who have now ended up staying on and appointing themselves onto the board. I mean, the more I think about it, the more ludicrous it sounds. We need players. Trevor's coming in the comments. One of our regulars is saying he doesn't think Onana's worth 60 million. Well, listen, we don't make it. This is a very inflated market, Trevor. And it's also a seller's market. He's got 4 years left on his contract. And if anyone wants to get him, they're going to have to pay top dollar. We still owe Lille some money in terms of payments that we've agreed. And there's, of course, a sell on terms of the profit. I think it's 20% of the profit. So wouldn't make an awful lot on it with that in mind. But the way it works is obviously because we've only put 5 million down, and it's I'm not really good at the business side of Everton really, but that's not my specialty. But the way I understand it is the fee is over the life of the contract. So you don't have like an instant 50 million, whatever we paid for him. I think it was 28 million. I don't think that goes straight onto the books as 28 million minus. I think it's over the 5-year contract. You write down a percentage. So if we've only paid out like 5-6 million on that year, and then we get in straight away 50 million in 1 year, obviously that makes the books look good, I think. So what are the players that we need to get rid of? You're asking a good question here. Obviously, we've lost Tom Davies yesterday. He's decided not to stay and accept the offer of a new contract. I believe that was a 1-year deal. He's looking for something longer. I'm not surprised. He was on decent wages at Everton. Listen, he's a nice guy. He's never kicked on. He's never really found a position or a place at Everton. I don't really know what he is, Tom Davies. The amount of times I've seen him make bad decisions in midfield and give the ball away, I think he needed to move on for himself and for Everton, really. The thing that annoys me about this situation is another player with a value, let's say his peak value is 5 million, another player with a value who we've not got any money for. It's ridiculous. If he was good enough for the Premier League, he was good enough for the Championship, it would have gone down. So the contract should have been sewn up for Tom Davies months ago, maybe January or earlier. Okay, if the player stalled and said, I'm not sure, I want to wait and see what happens, fair enough. But it's annoying because I'm not saying he's good enough. I genuinely, I mean in the nicest way possible, I don't think Davies was anywhere near good enough to play for us as a starter. But we should have been able to sell him and get something for him. So it's just another player that Everton are leaving, on a free transfer farcical. I think Davies leaves Everton with the well wishes of most of the fans. I think he obviously had a lot of stick. He's not loved by a lot of people, Davies, for his footballing ability. I know people who are very close to Tom Davies and say that he is a great lad, fantastic attitude, loves Everton, he engrosses himself in everything to do with the city and the culture, and he's a great character. Of course, he's best friends with Calvert-Lewin. Whether that will affect Calvert-Lewin's decision-making moving forward, I personally would be happy if Calvert-Lewin was sold and we bought in an actual forward instead of trying to stick all our eggs in his basket and the basket breaking and the eggs falling through and smashing on the floor. I quite like that analogy. But Davies is gone. Good luck. He played over 130 appearances, I think. He did score a lot of goals. I didn't know what he did. But it's like a sinking ship that everyone wants to leave. Obviously, we've seen Begovic go. He declined the contract. He said there's a lot of noise around the club and, for want of a better word, described it as, he didn't say it was the best environment to be in. It can be distracting, obviously, the stuff on the board. He's off. He's focusing on his academies that he's setting up. And I think he could go and get first team football somewhere. I don't know where, but I think he's still good enough for someone, maybe not Premier League level, first choice, week in, week out, unless it's the likes of Luton Town. But he's a good keeper. And it's a shame. We've also lost Yerry Mina. He wasn't offered a new contract. Or maybe the talks with the contract weren't favourable to him because obviously he was on 120 grand a week. And even if we'd offered him 60k, he wants to go and get as much as possible. I don't think he'll get anywhere near that elsewhere. Certainly the talk was he was going to Fenerbahce on a free transfer. So he's not going to get 120 grand in Turkey a week. I'd be shocked. But there might be someone because if they're getting him on a free. But we've got to replace Begovic. We've now got to replace Tom Davies. This is more players we've got to find. When the issue was clear, you need two forwards, you need a number 9, and you need someone who can play up front and on the wings. Who can cover like a Richarlison. Absolutely have to do it. Who else do we need to get rid of then? Well, we already needed a left back. Absolutely. I'm not going to tolerate Mykolenko first choice left back for another season. He contributes diddly squat going forward. And he's, contrary to belief, he's not that good defensively. It's just because he stands back the whole game. We need a left back. We need another midfielder. Anyway, we needed someone who can get on the ball from deep and create. Possibly didn't need that actually with James Garner. But if Davies is gone now and Onana's going potentially. So we need another midfielder, but who did we need even before that? We needed at least one winger, and the two forwards and a centre half. So you're adding a lot more things you need to do. Now, in terms of who could go, joining Davis, Andros Townsend, Asmir Begovic, Ruben Vinagre, Connor Cody, and Yerry Mina out the club, I suspect it will be Mason Holgate, Jean-Philippe Gbamin, Andre Gomez, Dele Alli, Neil Maupay, and Amadou Onana. So you're losing in the space of one window, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You could argue 2 of them were on loan last season, so it wouldn't have been a loss. But 12 players out the door, and I think we need left back. Now we absolutely need left back, centre mid, right wing, centre forward, and another centre forward who can play on the wing, left or right. It's a lot of players with no money to spend. Now, how much we get for Onana? Let's say we get 55 for Onana, 5 for Holgate at 60, 2 million for Gbamin. I think he'll go on a free. He's utter crap. 62 million. Ali again, he'll go on a free. There's no way we'll get a fee for Dele Alli. His wages are extortionate and we need to get rid of him. Andre Gomez, now he could stay. I wonder whether he'll get a chance in pre-season again. Now that we've lost some players, could he come back in? I'm not so sure. But if we got 5 million for him, what are you going to get for Neil Maupay? His stock is low. I think we might loan him and then sell him next season, but I don't think he's got a long contract. So, yeah, if we got 75 million for those bunch of crabs, then we could hopefully, we've saved a lot of wages there as well. Yerry Mina's on 5 million a year. Townsend was on 3.5 million a year. Connor Cody, 3.5 million a year. There's money to be recouped, and there's got to be something we can do. I mean, I would say prioritize the forwards and quality over quantity. I think absolutely. There's no point if we're not going to do it like that. We need quality goal scorers in, or as I say, there's no point turning up. Of course, Jared Branthwaite comes in. Maybe he could take the place of Connor Cody, but still, Yerry Mina needs replacing. And some would argue we needed a better centre back anyway, maybe a left-sided centre back. I'd be happy with Ben Godfrey if he left. Couldn't care less. I wouldn't be bothered if Alex Iwobi left. I know he got all of those assists, but I don't see him as a right-sided midfielder. He can't cross the ball, can't beat anyone, doesn't score any goals. 2 last season, pathetic. Got no pace. Yeah, I mean, the only one in that front three that I really like is McNeil, because he can cross the ball and he can finish and he works really hard. He's tenacious. He's developing. I think he could hit double figures for goals next season, but I'd love to see someone a marauding left back coming on behind him and creating overlaps, a great space for McNeil to cross and to float inside. But yeah, I'm asking too much under the circumstances. Okay, so comments on transfers. Alan's talking about Davis. Small amount of games Davis played was small. He can easily replace his contribution. He still played 28 games. Still played 28 games in 2 years. That's still 28 games you need to replace. You know, and have we got youth players that are going to be good enough? Have we got any reserve players? At times we had 2 goalkeepers on the bench. The Blues is talking about Alex Iwobi. He's a midfielder on the wing, but he's not proven himself in midfield as well. You know, when I've seen him in field, he gives the ball away and teams run up the other end and score on more than one occasion. I don't think defensively he's good enough to play midfield, and I don't think he assists those types of assists. No, I retract that. I think he's not a good midfielder, in my opinion. I think Doucouré is better. I think Onana's better. I think he's more natural in that position. I think Alex Iwobi, I don't know where his position is, where we're going to get the best out of him. Maybe you're right, the Blues. Maybe he is a number 8. Because I think in that scenario, he doesn't have to score 8 to 10. He can still chip in with some assists. But I think defensively, I'm not sure he's quite there, and that's why he doesn't play in midfield. He's just another one that is an odd, because I don't know where his position is. He's definitely not a winger. And again, the likes of Ben Godfrey again is another one. I've got no idea where he plays. Smokey of the Sun, Digne was such a waste. We let him go. Yeah, I think someone who could have protected Luca Dean a little bit better might have helped. But he had Bernard in front of him. Bernard worked hard, but he didn't have the physique. Every player gives the ball away, the Blues. I'm talking nonsense. No, he's not a winger. He can't play out wide. He can't beat anyone. He can't cross. He can't. He's got no pace. He doesn't score any goals. But when I've seen him as an 8, has he scored goals? Defensively, has he looked good? Yes, he runs. But I've seen him also make stupid errors that have led to goals from that position. So I don't think he's completely trusted. Gary agrees. He's saying he's not great in midfield. Also on the agenda today, incomings for Everton, as I say. We've been linked with a couple of the Leeds players. My understanding is that is just agents pushing them, looking for moves. And we've been linked with Gayorka. I mean, to be fair, we're not being linked with anyone. We're really not being linked with any players, which says a lot. It says maybe we're not talking to anyone. We haven't got the money. We've got to wait for players to go. I mean, I see all of our business, if any, coming very late. Fans are going to get frustrated and wound up. It's textbook Everton. You've got the same cooks in the kitchen. You're going to get the same broth. And I expect that to be the same this window. I really hope Sean Dyche does not allow that to happen and sticks his foot down and something changes. But I'm really struggling. I'd love for Mr. Positive to come on here and tell us that it's all going to be okay in terms of getting players in, and all those players are going to go. We're going to get good fees, but it's the same people. It's the same chairman. I don't know how good Colin Chong is at negotiating player outgoings, or Kevin Thelwell. It's just a numb feeling, and we're only in June. It's just a numb feeling, and we're only in June. In other news, Carlo Ancelotti. I know I haven't done a stream in about 8 days. I think Steve and Mabs did the reaction to the fixtures, but we haven't had sort of like a forum show like this for a little while. I do intend to do one at least once a week, like this. Carlo Ancelotti is suing Everton Football Club. Apparently, he met Usmanov on a boat, and Usmanov promised him some on the side payments for Everton's league position. Dodgy, but if it keeps the money out of Everton's books, and it's kind of like just a courtesy payment from Usmanov to Ancelotti, then that is interesting. I mean, it's probably illegal, but he's suing the club in London. Like, we don't need enough, and he calls himself an Evertonian, but and he's got enough money, but I suppose a lot of things come down to principle. And I think there was a lot of broken promises when Ancelotti was here. But at the same time, we finished 10th, and he had a great squad. So I don't know why he's held in such good regard. I'm going to go to comments, and then I'm going to wrap things up. So if you want to talk about anything in particular in the comments, bring up the topic, and we'll go through it. If not, we will wrap things up. Cruel Hoaxer. Club is an utter joke. Kenwright is cancerous ego that's ruining us. Why on earth keep him? MSP no better than what we have now. Kelly, we need a lot more crosses into the box, which we currently lack when we had Baines and Younger cut. We were brilliant, Kelly. They were the best fullbacks in the league for a couple of years. You know, the most of our play came from fullback. And then we had all those midfielders running on and running beyond them, and I miss those days. Martin's talking about the players we've been linked with. Yeah, I know. I think you were referencing the Leeds players. We're not thinking outside the box. Yes, I don't know whether we've got the scouting network set up. We don't seem to identify the players early enough. We don't take risks early enough and develop them. We kind of wait till they're too expensive or beyond us. But the Leeds, there's nothing in the links with the Leeds players. There's nothing in that. Dave is saying Carlo done a runner when Real Madrid said they didn't have a manager. He's admitted he rang them and said yes. Yeah, he wanted out. He wanted to get out. Rod saying, welcome, Rod. Don't worry, Elon's coming in. New sponsor is Tesla, and we're playing in the SpaceX Stadium. Cruel is saying Thelwell is the new Steve Walsh. I'd say that Thelwell has yet to prove himself at Everton, as far as I'm concerned. And the good signings that were made at the likes of Wolves, a lot of them was the agent pushing them, the Portuguese agent. So, yeah, I think that's it from us today. Unless anyone can think of anything in the next sort of 60 seconds that we need to be covering. The news is that Kenwright is staying on as chairman. It isn't written as interim chairman, unless I've misread it. Mashiri's put himself on the board. Colin Chong is on the board. He's also the CEO. He's also running the stadium. The finance director is now the chief finance officer. And we're signing no one as it stands. And nothing's happening. Guys, please hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're new here. Thank you for supporting the channel. I hope to be back very soon. Of course, if there's any breaking news, anything really important, we'll be back with the stream as fast as possible. And I do expect you'll hear from some of our wonderful contributors again very shortly. Thank you and have a great weekend. Everton aren't playing. Don't let them ruin weekends when they're not even playing. See you soon.